Welcome, guys, to That Bible Guy. Why should I believe in God? Today we look at the moral argument. We've got faith, first cause. We've got A, anthropic principle, fine-tuning argument. And we've got I for injustice, justice. It's all about the moral argument. If you like this video, please drop a like. If you can subscribe if you haven't already, it would be fantastic. And if you want to support this ministry, please go over and you'll see the link to Patreon on the notes section. So we're going to look today, why should I believe in God? Well, because it's the best explanation of right and wrong. So we're going to look at injustice. Justice it's all to do with the moral argument. It's the best explanation for our belief in right and wrong. We've all experienced or seen injustice or felt injustice in our life. I remember when I was at school, one particular day I was standing, minding my own business at a radiator, when a guy came in, started messing around with me and eventually punched me on the nose, opened up my nose and may have very well have been broken. It was wrong. I felt this sense it was very wrong. And I've no doubt that anyone else that knew about it would have said it was wrong. It was undeniably wrong. A short time after this, I remember I had a girlfriend in school, and in order to go out with a different girl, I actually cheated on one girlfriend to go out with a different girl. Many people I spoke to, my friends, thought that was okay. Was that okay? I hear some of you getting a bit frustrated right now. Of course it wasn't okay. It wasn't okay to do that, to treat someone like that. But again, there was different views on that. Was that wrong? We've all got this awareness of right and wrong. My point on this today is, if there's no God, no transcendent lawgiver, we can't say something's objectively wrong. We can say we think it's wrong, personally, but we can't objectively say that it's wrong. Who among us is able to declare law that ought to be obeyed? What human being on this planet can give laws that should be obeyed by everyone else? Is anyone worthy of the accolade? Either God exists or not. If he doesn't exist, there's no one else can take his place. There is no one else out there. If there's no transcendent lawgiver, there's no one else out there that can take God's place. If there's no God, moral lawgiver, there's no way to say that any one action is wrong or moral or another's immoral. All we can do is say, I like it or I don't like it. There's no objective external standard. All we can say is we like it or that we don't like it. Everything comes down to opinion, our experience, our culture, our upbringing, our own personality types. In other words, all them things I said are subjective. Subjective means we can't say it's wrong for anyone else. It's wrong for one person but not someone else. So there's three little sort of short points today. Well, two, and they lead naturally to the third. First thing to say is, without God, there's no objective moral standard. Without God, there's no objective moral standards. We can declare an act wrong or unjust, but when we do that, we appeal to an objective standard. It's the external standard that makes it wrong. I remember when I played football at school, and I remember for the first 6 months, I was always offside. Sorry, this is a soccer game, a British soccer game. I was always offside. No one had took me aside and explained this external rule that was linked to the game of football, set by the standards, the governing body of football, to say this is action means you're offside. There was an external standard of whether I liked it or not, the goal was not allowed. There was a standard for that game that must be adhered to, that everyone else appealed to. The opposing team said, no, that wasn't a goal, you were offside. So if there's no objective standard that we're aware of, we agree to, it's just your opinion about what's right and wrong. This is atheism, and objective moral standards are incompatible. If you don't believe in God, the idea of objective moral standards and that atheism are incompatible. Atheism, where molecules in motion, there's no external standard, there's no such thing as God. It's incompatible with moral standards. Bertrand Russell, philosopher, mathematician, logician, historian, writer, a very well-known atheist, acknowledged this inconsistency. Although he was an atheist, he was an outspoken social critic. He denounced war and restrictions on sexual freedom. But he admitted that he could not live as though his ethical values were just a matter of personal opinion. He knew in the atheistic world that his views were just a matter of personal opinion. But he couldn't just say they were just his personal opinion, because he thought, no, everyone needs to follow these things. This is right for everybody. He found his own views incredible. He confessed, I don't know the solution. I know I feel this so strongly, they feel wrong, but without God it's just an opinion. But he knew it shouldn't just be an opinion. The point is, if there's no God, there's no objective right and wrong. Right and wrong cannot exist objectively. Dostoevsky, a Russian novelist, said, all things are permitted. His acknowledgement of a life without God, Dostoevsky, is everything is permitted. But he said, he also showed in his novels, he's a Russian novelist, that man cannot live this way. He said, he cannot live as though it's perfectly all right for soldiers to slaughter innocent children. He cannot live as though it's all right for dictatorial regimes to follow a systematic program of physical torture of political prisoners. He cannot live as though it's all right for dictators like Pol Pot or Saddam Hussein to exterminate millions of their own countrymen. Everything in him cries out to say these acts are really wrong. But if there's no God, he cannot. So he makes a leap of faith and affirms values anyway. And when he does so, he reveals the inadequacy of a world without God. Without God, external standard, transcendent, moral lawgiver, it's just an opinion, based on any number of subjective factors. These acts that he mentioned there, though, we know this, are objectively wrong for all people at all times. And anyone you meet will acknowledge that. First thing to say is, without God, there's no objective moral standard. The second thing to say is, there are objective moral laws. There's things that we see all as wrong. Mistreatment, slavery, child abuse, denying people their rights, murder. You can say it's cultural, but we don't all have the same standards culturally. Western cultures are often just more refined than Eastern cultures. Other cultures teach that women are inferior and that girls shouldn't be taught at school, and that's accepted culture by the majority. People in cultures believe in karma. You get what you deserve in this life, and therefore it means that don't treat them well because they did something bad in a previous life. The treatment of the poor and disabled, they don't have laws around that, and they're not treated well as they would be in Western cultures normally. But people in this day have a strong sense of moral convictions, but they don't have any objective basis for these strong moral convictions. But why say laws are objective? Why say they're objective? They're objective moral laws. Well, we don't just have our own views and leave it that way. We all, whether we know it or not, acknowledge objective moral laws. How? Moral obligation. We all have beliefs about right and wrong. But the problem with moral obligation is we expect everybody else to live the same way that we do. And if we don't, we cry foul. There's an insistence in everyone that everyone else keeps our standard. Someone ever skip you in a queue? They walk straight past you and skip into the queue. Hey, hold on a minute. That's not right. Somebody cuts you up in traffic. Somebody speaks against you or someone else. Hey, hold on. That's not right. That's not fair. Well, says who? I don't believe that. So we all apply and appeal to this objective moral standard that exists outside of us. We all say we shouldn't impose our views on others. Everyone has their own rights. Everyone has a right to make their own decisions. But we can't live like this. If so, we wouldn't infringe our views on everybody else. Or even that view itself, that everyone has a right to their own view. That's an opinion that we all put on to everybody else. Whether we like it or not, we all inevitably impose our view on others because there are objective moral values. People laugh at the claim of a transcendent moral order. They don't think genocide's impractical or self-defeating, but that it's wrong. The Nazis who exterminated Jews who have claimed they didn't feel it was immoral at all, we don't care that they don't feel it was immoral at all. We don't care if they sincerely felt they were doing a service to humanity. They shouldn't have done it. And no one can say otherwise. We would be in arms. We would be outraged if someone said that. We don't just have moral feelings, but we have an eradicable belief in moral standards, that they exist outside of us, by which internal moral feelings are evaluated. This is the way it works. The idea of why should I believe in God is because it's the only explanation to the objective moral standards that we all acknowledge exist, whether you know they do or not. It's the best explanation for these values that we have about right and wrong. Without God, there's no objective moral standard, but the reality are there are objective moral standards that we all appeal to and certainly are alive and thriving well in this age. Let me just say, we can all do good without God. It's not just Christians that do good. Christians do wrong. Christians do right, do wrong, as do atheists, non-believers, agnostics. But it's God within us that enables us to act again, to a strict set of governed laws. God has put objective morality in our hearts. If that's been of help to you today, please share it, comment, like and subscribe. As I said before, please sign up to the Patreon account, which is on the notes section, so you can go on there and also help me to get one day in the ministry to get more teaching material out there to help convert people over to God and His love. Thanks for tuning in today. Be with you all again soon. Let's get His word out there.